Everyone, come on in and have a seat, gather round as we start our continuing series on a recap, review, a commentary on all these interviews going on with these Ready Love cast members on either Crystal XO's YouTube channel or a Little Black Book's YouTube channel. And as we have been calling, because, you know, we just are flying by the seat of our pants, we calling these the Cliff Notes. We are calling these the Cliff Notes. And today's Cliff Notes are going to be on a Kayla's interview. Kayla was a star of the show, whether you liked her or didn't like her or whatever else. She gave us a lot to talk about. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Kayla, for giving us something to talk about. But Kayla is either going to be your hero, your shiro, or you're going to look at her as a villain, or not a villain. I don't think she's a villain, something else. But anyway, she made for some good TV. Sharice, some of these ladies that they lit up the screen. So maybe they'll get a gig after this. Maybe they'll get a gig. But I have done a recap, reviews, commentaries on a couple of the interviews. I did LJ, a Justice. I did a Looney, and I did Lazy Ass Randall, because you know I can't say Randall's name without adding a lazy ass in front of it. I don't know. I just can't say Randall. I got to say Lazy Ass Randall. But anyway, check those out if you didn't. At the end of this video, I'll leave a couple of links to a couple of videos, but you can always go to my homepage and click on those interviews. And then I see that Jamala did an interview with a Crystal XO, so I am going to watch that one as well. I don't know if I'll get to it today, because today is my Married at First Sight day, so it's hard for me to do everything at once. So maybe I'll do Jamala's interview maybe Friday. I don't know. I'll see how my day goes, my calendar goes, and all my other work I got to do goes before I get to it. But I think they're going to be rolling out interviews with Brandy. I'm sure Mike is going to come around. I'm sure they're all going to come through. So definitely you know, if you're not subscribed, definitely go ahead and subscribe to my channel so you'll know when I post those Cliff Notes. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and drop down in the comments, because like I tell everyone who's been rocking with me the whole season long, my favorite part is listening to what you guys write, because y'all are funny. And you also, all of you also got some really interesting life stories of your own. But let's go ahead and get into this Cliff Notes, a recap with Kayla. And as it turned out with Kayla, she actually did two interviews. Kayla is booked and busy. Kayla had an interview not only with Little Black Book, she also had an interview with Crystal XO. And it was kind of at the same time, because she was on Little Black Book for like an hour and a half. And then it had to stop abruptly. And then she had to go over and have the interview with Crystal XO, and that interview was another hour long. Some people might say, well, what's the point of doing a Little Black Book and Crystal XO? And I think one of the good things that I think Crystal XO and Little Black Book are doing well, working with each other, is they're not asking the same questions, and they have completely different styles, y'all. So if you go back and watch any of their videos, the styles are different. I think for Kayla's video with Little Black Book, he concentrated a lot on her childhood, her growing up, her background. I think he wanted to get to the other stuff, but he ran out of time. Supposedly he's going to be doing an extension of the interview with Kayla, but I probably won't watch that, because like I said, I don't have time to be going double dipping, going back and forth. But he concentrated more on her growing up, her background, which was good, because that's what I like to hear, because then it gives me context into who these people are, these cast members are. And then I think Crystal XO concentrated more on the events of the show and kind of giving Kayla's a perspective on the show, kind of like, you know, walk us through it. What were you thinking? What else was going on? So I like the combination of the two because I think it gave me more of a complete picture with Kayla. But one of the things I do on each of these videos, I start off saying, did they get a good edit or a bad edit? Because you often hear these cast members say, I got a bad edit, I got a bad edit. And I said, well, I want to know, because now that you're on these open forum interviews, let's see, now that you got an hour and a half to talk, 2 hours to talk, let's see if I come to a different conclusion than the so-called bad edit on Ready to Love. And here's my conclusion for Kayla. Did Kayla get a good edit or a bad edit? Well, let me tell you what my answer is. Kayla is the editor. You want to ask, did the producers give her a good edit or a bad edit? Kayla is the editor. Okay. So I can't tell you if she got a good edit or bad edit because Kayla has edited her entire story from Ready to Love. Kayla has rewritten the whole story. When you listen to Kayla talk, you will start to think, what? Is this girl trying to pretend like I didn't see the show? I didn't hear the show? Kayla starts telling a completely different stories. And when I say different stories, she's framing the stories different. It's the same story in terms of, the general story, but she's framing all the stories in a different light. And oftentimes, of course, she's framing the story in a light that makes her look better and less of what I was saying throughout the season, that she was acting like a side chick. Now, let me make sure people understand what I'm saying. Because people say, oh, how can she be a side chick? No one was married to these men. No one was married. Okay, we know that. I said acting like a side chick. Her behavior reminded me of a chick behavior. And I don't think she liked that narrative. And so now Kayla has rewritten her entire performance on the show. Now, let me tell you something. Kayla now, in these interviews, wants us to believe that she never really had any interest in Mike besides she was physically attracted to him. That's what she wants us to believe. So when we saw Kayla crying over Mike, okay, when we saw Kayla fighting for Mike, when we saw her friend, when they went to the friend's dinner, tell her, you all into Mike, you staring into his eyes, all this other kind of stuff. Kayla wants us to believe now that was all just for the show and that she was just trying to stay on the show and win. That's what she wants us to believe now. So she's saying, you know what? I'm not no side chick. That really wasn't side chick behavior. I was just playing the game the way the game was supposed to be played. I was using Mike. Mike was using me. And it was a big agreement from the start. Okay, Kayla. So all them tears, all this you crying in your hands, all this emotion that was coming out when you started to see different things, all the eye rolling, all of that was pure acting. Okay. Well, if we go with that was pure acting, it then spoils another part of Kayla's talk where Kayla says she was real, she's authentic, and everybody else is fake and phony. Because there's another part of Kayla that says, why are people out here trying to pretend that people don't kiss on dates? And that's what happens on dates. And normally you don't see people kissing. So what's the point of all these men being upset? And she also talked a lot about how men would say, well, we don't want to do that on camera because it's a bad look. And she said, well, what are you worried about your look for? Why are you being fake? Why are you being phony? Well, both can't be true. You can't be telling us you were acting the whole season, trying to pretend like you were really interested and wanted Mike, but yet you really didn't. But then on the other hand, tell us you kept it real and you were real. It's like them multiple choice questions. You ever have a multiple choice questions and you got A, a B, and C, and A is one answer, a B is another answer, and you reading and you taking the test, you go, ooh, I don't know. I think it's A, and then you go down, so ooh, and then you read the B and you go, I think it's B. And then you get to the C and D, and C says A and B or A or B. And you're like, oh man, now you're going to make me choose between one of the two. And that's what Kayla's trying to do to us on a multiple choice. She's trying to make it pretend like she can pick and choose what the answer is, and it changes depending on how she wants to look. Hear me out. She changes the story to fit the narrative she wants to spin. And the problem with that is, depending on the narrative she wants to spin at the moment, changes the story. So if you just hear her when she's telling one story, you will believe Kayla. But then you come back maybe a little later or hear another story like, well, wait a minute, the two don't go together. It can't be white and black at the same time. Kayla, is either going to be white or black, or it's going to be this or that. And Kayla wants you to believe that she was keeping it real. She was honest. Okay. At the same time, she didn't really like Mike and she was just playing the game. She told us that she really didn't even want to go out with Mike. She said that it was the producers who kept making her go out with Mike, that Kayla really wanted to go out with Randall. Randall was really all she wanted to go out with. But because the producers saw the energy between her and Mike, she would show up to dates and Mike would be there. And she was like, wait a minute, I wanted Randall to be here. Why is Mike here? So she was literally forced on these dates with Mike against her will. And when really her will wanted to go out with Randall. Then why did you kiss Mike? Didn't you just tell us not only did you kiss Mike, you kissed him several times? So now I would have to believe that you were forced to go out on dates, set up. Let's not say forced. You were set up to go out on dates with Mike, even though you didn't want to go out with Mike. You really wanted to go out with Randall. But instead, you kissed Mike. Well, how does that help you if Randall's really the guy you want to be with? And then you're mad when people start talking about all this kissing. Like it doesn't all go together. Because the truth is, as we know, she did get caught up with Mike. She absolutely got caught up with Mike. See, Kayla, bless her soul, bless her heart. Kayla's a beautiful girl. She is a beautiful girl. And I know people are out here saying that Kayla has a low self-esteem. And I think kind of what they're getting this from is because her talk doesn't match her walk. Kayla talks tough. She really, really does. She talks real tough. But when the rubber hits the road, okay, her walk does not match her talk. And that is the biggest disconnect. Because when she's talking, everyone's like, yeah, Kayla, you right. Yeah, Kayla. But then when you see what she does, you're like, girl, what happened? What happened to the game plan? What happened about kicking him to the curb? What happened to that? Why are you going out with him again? And let me tell you something. Kayla double dips on Randall, y'all. Did y'all know that after the decision day and Randall chooses Jamala, and we know Jamala and Randall go bust soon thereafter decision day, Randall comes a knocking on Kayla's door again. This is what she tells us. Okay. Comes a knocking on Kayla's door again and says, oh, I'm over with Jamala. That's over. That's a wrap. We are done. Kayla says, well, are you sure you're done? Are you sure you're done? He's like, yep. And then she tells a story that after, maybe a week of Randall saying, or 2 weeks of Randall saying over and over again, they're done. Kayla opens the door on him. He knocking at the door. Kayla, let me in. Kayla, let me in. Now, talking tough Kayla, after everything that went down, after he chose Jamala and she was upset, after Mike chose Brandy, he comes knocking on the door. Kayla, open the door. Let me in. And Kayla opens the door. Like I said, talk tough. The walk, they ain't matching the talk. She lets Randall in. She says they date for several weeks. I don't know what the time period is. She dates. And she finds out that a couple of weeks before the reunion, she finds out from Randall that when he goes on the reunion, he's going to try to pretend like he's still with Kayla, or he's going to be sitting next, not Kayla. He's going to be acting like he's still together with Jamala, and he's going to be sitting next to Jamala. So Kayla says, wait a minute. You told me you was done with her. We've been kicking it and hanging out and talking and doing all this stuff for now the last 3 weeks or whatever. And now you about to kick me to the curb again. And you about to go on back on TV again in the light. Remember I tell you this, in the dark, in the light. Now you about to go in the light again and you're going to pretend you're with Jamala. I said, Kayla fell for this again. Kayla fell for the rando okie doke again. Are you kidding me? After all that tough talk, she fell for the same scam again with Randall and with the same scammer, Randall. Let me tell you. So let me tell you now what I think about Kayla, because I know people were saying Kayla has a low self-esteem. I'm not so inclined to believe that Kayla's problem is low self-esteem. I don't think Kayla has, because I think Kayla's beautiful. I think she's smart. I think she's accomplished. I think she's talented. I think Kayla is so many things. But I'm going to tell you what Kayla's biggest problem is in her life. And is that she is overly competitive. And that becomes her number one goal. Her number one goal becomes winning at all cost. And what happens when a person has such a, I want to call it a tail. It's almost like, I don't know if any of you guys have ever played poker or even seen people play poker, and the real world renowned poker players will say that everyone has a tail. You know, it's a clue, because you kind of know what they want. And once you know what their tail is, you can expose their weakness, because now you know how to play them, right? And it also happens with scammers when people are trying to scam you out here in the world. If you ever listen to like a real crook or a scammer, and they'll say, well, how are you able to run these scams on people? One of the things scammers do, especially when it comes to money issues, like scamming you out of money, or giving you something, next thing you know, you've been bamboozled. Like back in the day, there used to be a scam when people would tell you get a brand new flat screen TV for $50, and here it is in the box, and then you get home and it's nothing but rocks in the box. Well, one of the ways they tell you that they can scam you is because of the greed factor. Once they get a person who has a little bit of greed in them, which means they kind of want something for nothing, or they want something for cheap, now they can appeal to your greed factor, and they know they can rope you in by telling you can get $1,000 TV for $200, because they know I'm appealing to that greed. I'm appealing to that part of a person who wants to get over. Kayla's tail is she wants to win at all cost. So if I know that I have a person sitting in front of me that all they want to do is win, now I can manipulate that person to make them appear as if they're going to win, or set up a scenario in which I set up the competition, and that's how I get her roped in. Like, let's say I'm a dude and I want to take Kayla out. And actually, you know who did it? Mike did it. Let's say I'm a dude and I want to take Kayla out, but Kayla may not even really like me. All I have to do is set up a scenario in which Kayla can do what she likes to do, which is compete. Okay, I could actually set up a date, and I could start talking to Kayla. I could like, oh girl, you don't know how to play no basketball. Let's just say, she's like, I know how to play basketball. I could beat you in basketball. You're like, oh girl, you can't play no basketball. You know what? You can't beat me. You can't beat me. She goes, I can't beat you. I can't beat you. And he says, well, let's prove it. Why don't you meet me down at the courts at 2:00 on Friday, and we're gonna play a little bit of one-on-one, and I'm gonna see if you could beat me. Guess what? I just got a date with Kayla. And Kayla's going to show up on that court, because what Kayla's there to do is to beat me. But if I'm a dude and really what I want to do is be in Kayla's presence, then guess what? I got what I want too. I could really care less about this basketball game. What I really want to do was be with Kayla, spend time with Kayla. Kayla was coming here. She don't want to be with me. She just want to come down here and beat me. And then once I get her to the court, now I got an opportunity to extract even more from Kayla. See, Kayla's desire to win interferes with so many things. And I believe that is also what kept her in this fight for Mike Randall. And now we know not only Randall on the show, but coming back and double dipping on Randall again to say, oh, I might didn't win the first round with Randall, but I might can win the overall second round. Because what she was thinking was, if I get with Randall now in the second round, then it will be me sitting next to him on that stage on Reunion. And then I'll be able to tell everyone, see, I won. This girl. And let me tell you, the interview with Little Black Book explained, where did all this come from? How did Kayla get to the point where winning has become so important? Well, most of the time when women are really, really competitive like a Kayla, they learned it in their childhood. And a lot of times I find like some of these women might have played sports, competitive sports. And in Kayla's case, I don't know, she might have played sports, but she probably didn't, because she was a ballerina. Ballerina need to take care of themselves in different kind of ways than playing sports. So she said she was a ballerina, and she was pretty good at being a ballerina. I think she even teaches ballet now. But she told us she wanted to be a prima ballerina, just like Misty Copeland. She had big dreams. She was in dance troupes. She seems like she was pretty well accomplished. She went to school for it. And she seems like she won a lot of awards for that. And when I think about the world of ballerina world, it reminds me a lot of, do you know how many women she had to go up with in the ballerina world? Competition, continuously competition, trying out for things. And I think what that teaches you is it teaches you to compete against women. It's the same thing that happens to women who were in pageants when they were young, like beauty pageants. I think of the Kenya Moores, okay? And a lot of these women, they struggle to get along with other women because they learned at an early age that women are always their competitors. I talked about it with Sharice. Sharice struggles with getting along with women, I believe, because I think Sharice also looks at women as competition. But I think in Sharice's situation, her competition was more in competing for men, football players, ballers, because ballers have a lot of women around. And so I think she would find herself in real steep competition for that man. So she got into this probably early on in her life, competing for a man's attention. And I think Kayla learned very early on about competition with women in her ballerina world. And in fact, I really do believe this, because Kayla said it and it came from her mouth, that everything in life is a competition. And when I heard that, I said, wow, those are the glasses in which she views the world. And I'm not going to say yes or no, the world is a competition, but it tells you the glasses in which she views the world. It tells you the glasses in which, when she comes to a situation, how she views the situation. I don't look at the world as everything is a competition. I don't. So I don't come into scenarios looking at, okay, I meet you at this spot. Am I better than you? Are you better than me? What do you have over me? I'm not sizing you up, because I'm not in no competition with you. If I go out with you to play some pool or to go bowling, there is going to end up being a winner, because someone wins and someone loser. But half the time, I'm just there to maybe drink the beer and eat the pizza. The competition of the game is secondary to me. I don't have to win. I came for the party, and if I have to bowl to be at the party, then I'll bowl. But the competition isn't the main ingredient for me. Kayla, the competition is the main ingredient. And when you're with a Kayla and you don't think like Kayla, you could think you're there just to have a good time. And next thing you know, I'm like, dang, girl, are you really competing with me at this bowling game? Yes, because she needs to win. So a lot of times when I saw Kayla on this show, I started saying, you know what, I don't even know if Kayla really even likes these men, because I never figured out why Kayla would even want to be with a Mike. Mike got 2 kids. I didn't even think he really wanted any more kids. Kayla doesn't have any children. And Mike comes from a world of exotic dancing, and she's over here, and if coming from the Jack and Jill world, Howard University. Now we find out she is an accomplished ballerina, and she over here vying for the love of Mike. Now it makes all sense, because it really wasn't about Mike. It was just about winning Mike. It was about beating Brandy, which also explains to us why she always had those rolling of the eyes with Brandy and Jamala and that nasty attitude. Let me tell you, there was one part in the interview with Kojo where she was even competing with Kojo, the interviewer. She was asking him, what's your credentials? How do you get to analyze me like this? Are you some type of a psychologist? Did you go to school for this? I was like, what's going on? I thought he was just asking questions to get to know her. But Kayla was sizing him up to figure out, do you have any special talents or gifts to be doing this? And what makes you better at it than I am? I was like, oh, I didn't know it was a him versus Kayla, who's better at it than, but she turns every situation into a competition of who is better. And then what she does is she comes to a conclusion of who's better. And she says, well, how are you better than me? And this is why she had a problem with Brandy, because what she was saying was, how could Mike choose Brandy over me? I'm so much more than Brandy. How could Brandy beat me out? And everyone else is saying, I don't know, they just vibe better. They just vibe better, Kayla. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means they vibe better. But in the world of competitors and competition, none of that matters, because the only thing that matters when you're a competitor is the W, the win, the W. How do they do it? The W. That's all that matters. The W. That's what matters. And in Kayla's world, that is the most important thing. And let me tell you, that mindset, although it can make her accomplished, because what it makes her do is it makes her work hard. She's tenacious. She doesn't give up. That also is what I saw from her. If she's a ballerina, I bet Kayla is disciplined. I bet you she's tenacious. I bet she's a hard worker. I bet that a lot of her accomplishments come from being a hard worker, because in some situations, people might give up, but in other situations, Kayla wouldn't give up. Now that works well in some worlds, okay? But in other worlds, it could work against her. She's gonna have to learn how to turn that off and on better than what she's doing. And she's gonna have to learn that sometimes the short-term loss is actually a win in the end. And that sometimes winning in the beginning is a loss. Because sometimes she may be enthralled in the winning of a man, and the man is trash, just like Randall. Randall ain't ready to love. Why are you competing for him? He ain't even worth the win. So if you win him, in the end, you're going to be left with something that's worthless. She's going to have to learn how to balance this out in her life, because right now, the win is everything to Kayla. The win is too much for Kayla. It is too much. By the end of these interviews, Kayla wanted us to think that she had never had no real interest in Mike. Like I said, it was all physical, but yes, she was kissing on him. She talked about, I didn't like what he did for his job, all his male entertainment that he does on his Instagram. I mean, she just kept running down all the bad qualities of Mike. You know, she said she was believing. She had heard in the streets too, the same rumors. Dominica was talking about him, you know, supposedly that he's cheating on Brandy. She had heard the same rumors as well. And so she really wasn't interested in Mike, and that she just had physical attraction to him, and it was all about the win, and they had an agreement. Well, if they had an agreement and it was just about winning and make it to the end, that means she was being fake. That means she was tricking all of us to make us believe she was really into him, which means she was fake, which means all her fans out here who think she's a shero and says that she keeps it real, she was tricking them too. So either way, she's tricking somebody. She's tricking her fans who believe she's a shero and that she is really this strong woman, right? And she's actually the one playing the man, and she's the one doing the fiddle, or she was lying to all of us. I don't know which one it is, but like I tell you, she changes the story depending on where she is. And let me tell you this other funny story. I started laughing at Kayla. So Kayla started saying another reason why she didn't really like Mike was because Mike wasn't an alpha male and she wants an alpha male. This is what she told us. This is another reason why she was proving to us that she really didn't have no real interest in Mike, because Mike isn't even her type, because he's not an alpha male and she wants an alpha male. First of all, I don't really like using the word alpha male anymore, because now I figured out people have so many definitions of what an alpha male is or alpha female that now it's like everyone's using the word alpha or beta, but everybody got different definitions. But anyway, we're going to go with her saying she wants an alpha male. So then she's telling Kojo, so he isn't an alpha male, and so that's another reason why I didn't like him. And so she says, well, one of the reasons why she knows he's not an alpha male is because one time they were at some type of filming. She was sitting on the couch, and Mike came up to her and tapped her on the shoulder and said, hey, can you come over and talk to me privately after this, because I want to talk to you. So he was polite. He asked it, if she could come over and talk to him when she was done or something like that. And, and what she said was, that's not an alpha male move, because an alpha male would have just butted into her conversation she was having with another man, sat down and basically asserted himself. And basically when the alpha male sat down, he would have shooed away all of the other men, because he would have dominated the area and came in and established some dominance. This is what she said. And I'm thinking, no, that's not what alpha male would do. And so then Kojo, I think, said, okay, well, who would do that? And she says, well, other men were doing it. So she said, LJ did it. And I'm thinking, okay, so you're about to tell us that LJ is an alpha male? Okay, Kayla, we're going to listen to you. Kayla said, well, LJ did it. LJ would come over and just say, hey, and plop himself down and just insert himself and then say, hey, can I have a moment with her? And then the other guy would go, okay, fine. Yeah, go ahead and talk to her. So he said, LJ did it. And then he said, and so then Kojo called her on it and said, well, wait a minute. If you like an alpha male so much, so then he says, okay, well, if you like an alpha male so much, why would you want Randall? Because remember, she's telling us that she never really had no interest in Mike. Randall was the one she wanted. Now she says, well, she wanted an alpha male. So now we go, we know Randall ain't no alpha male. Randall is a lazy. She goes, no, Randall did do it. He came over and, he asserted himself and said, hey, I want to talk to you. And we're like, well, how was that different when Mike said it? Oh, because he said it a little differently. First of all, no, Randall ain't no alpha male. Okay. Randall is lazy. Randall is not asserting himself. I don't know what she's talking about. And second of all, a real alpha male wouldn't even come over and approach a woman. A real alpha male would stand wherever he is and summons that woman. That woman will walk to him. That's the whole thing about it. I'm like, she's talking about the way an alpha male will walk up to her. And alpha male will walk into the room. He may make eye contact with her. And he might do this. Come on over here. Come on over here. He might do this. He ain't walking over to you. That's what I'm saying. Kayla changes scenarios to fit her narrative. And the narrative at the time was her trying to tell us why she really wasn't interested in Mike. But in telling us that she likes an alpha male, it doesn't jive with why she would like Randall, because Randall is not assertive. Randall is lazy. This girl. But Kayla likes to banter. Kayla likes to go back and forth. She likes to debate. She likes to do all that stuff. And she knows how to hold her own, because she knows how to twist the story around. And she's had a lot of practice, because she said it's a form of communication and entertainment. I want to say entertainment. The way she grew up, she says this is par for the course in her family. This is how they banter. Reminds me of people who do Dirty Dozens and things like that. So she's been probably doing it a long time. She's probably good at it. So if you encounter her out in the world and it's not nothing you've been doing for 30 years, she probably can get the better of you, because she's been wrestling like this in these word salad and word conversations and bantering back and forth and changing up stories so she can win the debate for a long time. She's probably good at it, way better at it than the average amount of people. But anybody with any bit of ability to unravel a story can unravel Kayla really, really fast. She only can get you on your heels if you're only in the ring with her for a short period of time. But after a while, you'll know her tale, like a poker tale or a scammer who wants to scam her. You'll peep out her game, and you will be able to take advantage of her and get the upper hand on her, because what you'll realize is she's really here only for the win. So all you have to do is have to create an illusion that she's winning, and you can get the upper hand on you. This is her weak point. This need to win is her weak point. And another last example, when Kayla starts changing the story and her motives and everything else in the middle of the story, once you corner her, because once you start getting her in a little headlock and get her up in the corner, she wiggles out of it and tells a different story. This girl, she got some little it's funny to watch. It is funny to watch. I'm gonna tell you, Kayla's entertaining. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you like her, dislike her, whether you think she's low self-esteem, high self-esteem, whether she's a shero, whether she's a villain, it doesn't matter. She's fun to watch. She is interesting to watch. And so she starts talking about, I think Kojo asked her the question, hey, why did you have so much animosity or not like Jamala, and why was you scrunching up your face and making all these facial expressions? So first of all, she goes, I didn't have nothing against Jamala. I have never said anything wrong or bad against that woman, and not at all. I didn't have anything against her. He said, I never called her out her name, and I never disrespected her. So then Kojo was like, yeah, but I mean, your facial expression and your face and the scrunching up of your face and the rolling of your eyes basically was disrespectful. Like, yeah, you might didn't say it, but your eyes said everything. And so we could see what you were thinking. So then Kayla says, so what difference does it make the way I roll my eyes? I can roll my eyes any kind of way I want to. Okay, that's not what we're talking about, whether or not you have the right to roll your eyes. See, this is how she's trying to twist you out of it. No one's talking about your right as an American citizen to roll your eyes. That's not what the question is. The question is about your feelings of animosity or whatever it is towards Jamala. And now you're talking about your right as American to have whatever kind of scrunch of face you want. So now she's changing the argument. She's changing the debate. She's changing the win for her. That's not what we're talking about. You absolutely can roll your eyes any kind of way you want to. But what we're saying is that when you roll your eyes and scrunch up your face, it does represent some disdain, distaste, dislike. I don't know what it is. That's why we asking the question. So Kojo is trying to get her to say that, hey, you know what? When you roll your eyes, you are talking. You're talking with your eyes. And so then she finally says, the reason why I roll my eyes, I do it for a reason. Oh, well, what's the reason? I roll my eyes so that my mouth doesn't have to do the talking. Well, that's what we're saying, which means you have the thoughts. You just don't want to say the words, but your eyes are saying the words for you. That's the question. Why do you even have the thoughts? This girl, like I tell you, this girl's talk don't match her walk, not one bit. When Kayla finds herself in a pickle, and when she finds out that you might win the argument or win the debate, she changes the goalpost. She moves it and changes the rules on you. So when you think you're trying to get to point A and she thinks you're about to get to point A sooner than her, she moves the goalpost from point A to point B. And then tell you, oh, you ain't won yet because I don't move the goalpost over here yet. So you ain't got there yet. I still got more time. I can still beat you. And that's what she did with this double dipping on with Randall and trying to beat Jamala. She said the show is over, but the game ain't over. And even though we stopped filming, I could still win Randall and beat out Jamala. And the truth of the matter is, she got caught up with definitely with Mike, and she also got caught up with Randall because she admitted that on that retreat, that she had no idea how involved Randall was with Jamala, and that on that retreat, she verified exactly what Randall said in his interview, that when Jamala was acting wild on that retreat and confronting Randall, I don't even want to say he was acting wild because I didn't think nothing was wrong with what she was doing because I knew she was being love bombed. Back then, I knew it. But when she was confronting Randall on camera and Kayla was talking about Jamala, talking about how she acting like this because Kayla didn't realize how much Randall was love bombing Jamala. She admitted, just like Randall said, that on that same weekend, Randall finally went to her room and told her, listen, I'm invested in Jamala. Just like Jamala wanted him to do, he finally went there and did it. And then when he came and told her, she said, invested, what does invested mean? That don't mean nothing. A boy, go then. And we know that after that, she didn't stop. What she did was, you think you invested, but I still could win. I could still come from behind and win this game. And her need to win, her need to beat out women. I think she probably competes with men too, but she really does compete with women. And I think it comes from her ballerina days when women were her stiffest competition and she had to size up women and figure out, how do I beat this women in this ballerina contest, in beauty contests, is what people do in pageants. She sizes the women up and figures out, how do I beat them? And although that competition serves her well, maybe sometimes in the business world, it doesn't serve her well in relationships with other people. Because let me tell you, people don't always want to be in competition with their friends. People don't always want to go out with people who always everything's a competition. Who got on the best outfit? Who looks the cutest? Who gonna get the most men if we go to this club? Win, 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 win. I just want to go out and have a good time. Why are you always competing with? Because sometimes those people can't celebrate you either. People who need to win all the time, the other downside to them is they can't celebrate your wins, because what they look at, your win is a defeat for them. Just like they couldn't celebrate, she can't celebrate Brandy, she can't celebrate Jamala, because the wins for those women remind her too much of her own loss. And those are women that me particularly, I don't like to be in close friendships with, because I want friends who would celebrate me and who would genuinely want me to win. And if I do win and they happen not to win, they can still celebrate me with a smile and a warm heart. And like Kayla said, it's hard for her to hide her true feelings of when she lost. But she said she grew up with mostly all boys. So she was a daddy's girl. She grew up with all boys. So she probably learned this competition too, growing up with all boys. Like I said, they did this bantering in the house. But I don't know. Kayla really is going to have to work on this competitive side of herself, because although it has some positives in her life, on this show, it exposed the negatives. It exposed of how it actually could stop her from reaching some of her goals as opposed to helping her. So anyway, that's it, y'all. What do you think? Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this video about Kayla. And then be sure to watch my other videos and some of the other interviews. And like I said, I'll be doing these as they come up with the other people. Anyway, that's it. Talk to y'all later. Bye.